Hi, I'm Pastor Kurt, and this is your 5-minute Bible study. Today, we're going to look at Acts chapter 13, verses 1 through 12. This is the very beginning of Saul's missionary journeys. Now, notice that I said Saul. He's not Paul yet. He's still Saul. If you remember his story, which I talked about in a previous video, he had been persecuting the church. But then, on his way to arrest people, he had this blinding vision of Jesus while he was on the road to Damascus. Jesus said, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? Why are you persecuting me?" Jesus identified with the people who were following him. Saul's life got changed. He became a follower of Jesus, and now he is set out to tell the good news to other people. Saul's life took a complete change here, made a complete change. At first, he was arresting Christians. Now he's become one of their main spokesmen. Now, here at the beginning of chapter 13, Saul sets out with Barnabas. Saul isn't traveling alone. He goes with Barnabas. Both of them have been commissioned to go out and tell people about Jesus, which is great. First thing that tells us is that when we tell people about Jesus, we're not in this alone. And we shouldn't think that we're in this alone. This is what the church does, right? We support each other. We tell others about Jesus together. Yes, each of us has specific gifts that God's given to us, which is great. But you're not supposed to do this all by yourself. You do this in community. You do this together. Saul's learning this. Barnabas is learning this. They're both sent out together. Well, after they're sent out, one of the first people that Saul encounters is this magician named Elymas. Now, a magician, when we think of a magician, we think of somebody who does like illusions or magic tricks, right? Pulling a rabbit out of a hat, that sort of thing, or card tricks. That's not what this magician is. We've heard about magicians like this before. Think back to Simon in Acts chapter 8. I talked about him in a previous video. These magicians were magi, just like the magi who visited the child Jesus. You can even see the word magi in the word magic. Now, these magicians were astrologers, not astronomers, but astrologers. Astronomy is the legit science that studies stars and planets and cool stuff in outer space. Astrology is like horoscopes and tarot card reading and that sort of thing, right? Palm reading, whatever. It's thinking that the position of the stars relative to the time of your birth says something about your personality. No, it doesn't. And Saul, I was about to say Paul, but he's still Saul. Saul lays into this guy. He sees what Elymas is doing. And he says, "Will you not stop making crooked the straight paths of the Lord?" In other words, you are leading people astray. You are taking them away from Jesus, so stop it. Saul really lays into him. He lets him have it. Because he knows that this is not what people should be following, all this astrology stuff. Instead, they should be following Jesus. Today, there are plenty of people who are trying to lead others away from Jesus. Part of our role as Christians is to tell them to stop it and to call people back to following Jesus. Now, yes, there's astrology still around today that some people listen to, but there's also a lot of other voices, okay? There's a lot of other things that try to pull people away from Jesus. And our call as Christians is to keep people focused on Jesus and to keep ourselves focused on Jesus. Sometimes that's the more challenging part. Sometimes we end up listening to all these other voices around us, all these things that seem more attractive and alluring, these things that try to draw us off course. Well, we can tell them to shut up, right? Stop trying to lead me astray. I follow Jesus. in this scene, we see that Saul, even from the very beginning of his new life, is focused on Jesus. He's not going to be led astray, and he doesn't want other people to be led astray. We can learn something from him, not only by keeping ourselves followers of Jesus and listening to him, but also by encouraging others to continue to listen to Jesus too. There's your 5-minute Bible study. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.